Mic on?
Mine's on.
Welcome to the September 7, 2022 meeting of the Eureka Springs Historic District Commission. I'm Steve Holofield, Chair. Kyle, will you please call roll?
Dee Bryant,
Here.
Marty Kogan,
Here.
Peter Graham,
Here.
Steve Holofield,
Present.
Kyle Palmer is president, Judy Hoagland,
Here.
and Maggie Haight is
Absent with.
absent with notice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a quorum for business. The Eureka Springs Historic District Commission is empowered by the Eureka Springs Municipal Code to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the alterations of exterior architectural features, demolition, and new construction within historic districts. We use the Eureka Springs Historic District Design Guidelines and the U.S. Secretary of the Interior Standards for the treatment of historic properties as the basis for our discussions. The Commission can take the following actions on an application: approval, approval with modifications, denial, or deferral for more information. Appeal of denial may be made to the Circuit Court. Public comments on agenda items will be heard as each item is called. Other comments will be heard during the public comment period. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I've been told the treasurer's report is not ready. Oh, you have it?
It's
Oh.
the August one.
Oh, the August report, I'm sorry. Is that on the, so the August treasurer's report is not ready? So can we go ahead and take that off the agenda?
Well, you got your July. We just need to change it to July report.
There's, on the Commissioner's business, there's July, August,
Oh, okay. So let's remove
number 3,
number 3.
okay?
Now I approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else have any changes they want to add or take away? All right. We, all in favor of accepting the agenda as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. 5-0. Agenda has been approved. Old business, none. New business, number 1, level 2, 33 Elk, composite deck on back. Number 2, level 3, 28 Lima, demolition. Consent, and we'll stop there. And call up the first one, which is 33 Elk. Someone here for 33 Elk? And state your name, sir.
My name is Patrick Lujan, and I'm out on Main Construction.
Okay.
The property at 33 Elk Street is a national folk-style cottage constructed around 1909. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a 10-foot by 14-foot rear deck with side stairs using gray composite decking, which is preferred, or in the alternative, treated lumber. In evaluating the request for the alterations at 33 Elk, staff make the following findings of fact. The subject property is contributing to the district. The proposed deck location is not visible from public right-of-way and is located on a rear shed roof addition.
That sound correct?
Yes.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
No, it's all, pressure-treated lumber. The only thing that's going to be composite is the decking itself.
This is in the back, right?
It's in the back. It's not visible from White Street or Elk Street. I mean, it's pretty much covered. You can't see it from anywhere, actually.
Okay. And if everybody can see that the packet, it says new porch under our guidelines. Install new porches and decks as they are not visible from the public right-of-way, such as the side or rear facades.
We need to make a motion to discuss this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work at 33 Elk as proposed.
I have questions.
Awesome.
I have a couple of questions. What is the side and the back setback for each of these? Because you don't indicate how much of a setback there is between the house and the yard. And what is going to be the exit part? There's a trailer back there, so how is the trailer going to be?
The trailer is nowhere near the deck. The deck is on the back side of the house. So
Right,
the
but-
trailer's back there, and the stairs come down off of that deck.
But how much of a setback is on both the sides and the back of the house? Because I understand there are some unvacated streets back there, so do you know
Actually,
for
actually, the
absolute fact that the
the-
streets has been vacated?
Those streets have been vacated. The one on the west side is actually vacated to the property that has that little garage that's back there, and he works out of that garage. And then the back street that would be another vacated property would be the backside behind the cafe, and that has been long vacated also.
So we know that for a fact.
They have been vacated, yes.
Yeah,
They were looked into only because they were having some parking issues, so they had looked into it, and those have indeed been vacated.
Okay. Okay.
Kylie, have you seen
And the
the
side
vacated?
setbacks are sufficient?
Yes, they all meet the guidelines for that. The setbacks, the east side of the property, the setback will be about 6 feet from the property line. On the other side, it's 12 feet.
6 feet and 12, okay, great, thanks.
You had a question, Judy?
I asked Kylie if she has seen the vacated survey or for the,
I've not seen the vacation for these two.
Either street?
but- No, but I wasn't looking for them, so that doesn't mean they don't exist.
They're actually, they weren't streets, they were just alleyways. And they are now parking lots. I mean, the one is a parking lot for the cafe, and the other one, like I said, is just a driveway for the one property owner to get to his garage that's just behind, it's actually right behind the cafe, and there's a garage back there. So along the east side of the Greens property is just it's just a driveway that actually allows them to have access to that garage. And it was vacated to that property for that reason, so that he'd have access
And
to his
the
garage.
garage that you're talking about is the one that has Oscars painted on the side?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question
Yeah.
about the design on the back. When the stairs come down, are they going to be directly going away from the house itself, or do they turn 90 degrees after they come down about?
They'll be going directly away from the
directly
house.
from the house?
Okay.
Any other questions? Ready to take a vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next up is Level 3, 28 Lima, Demolition. Anybody here representing that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kent Turner of the Hospital Commission.
The property at 28 Lima Street is a plain, traditional, or national folk-style single-family dwelling constructed circa 1914. The home appears to have originally been a simple side-gabled eye house form with a later eastern addition at an unknown time. Sometime prior to 1990, the front porch was reconfigured to include metal porch support columns, which were common in the 1960s to 1970s. Architecturally, this property is common in Eureka Springs. There are 9 other properties of similar style constructed the same year, and 42 similar properties constructed in the 10-year period between 1909 and 1919. The property transitioned to a commercial use, serving as an antique store, hospital education building, and most recently, the hospital-run thrift store. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of this property. In evaluating the request for the demolition at 28 Lima Street, staff makes the following findings of fact. The property is a common architectural style in the district, but it does contribute to the district. The property sits below grade and would require extensive alterations to become ADA accessible. The Eureka Springs Hospital has renovation plans that require the demolition of this property. Other options were explored but found to not be feasible.
I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work at 28 Lima as proposed.
Second?
Any questions?
Yeah. Have you considered moving the house?
That was in the,
Basically, there's nothing wrong with that structure, too. I, for one, would not vote to demolish it because there is nothing inherently wrong with the house. It just doesn't suit you guys. So have you considered moving it?
we have not. We are going to do a deconstruction so that all the materials can be used by other houses. I understand what you're saying. If I might, the commission has not come to this decision lightly. We have evaluated probably 13 or 14 other designs, and there's just no way around being able to use this property.
What do you intend to put in its place?
Okay, you have a copy of the drawings for the new hospital. We're not going to ever close the existing hospital, but to the north and west, we will be actually replacing everything that we have in the hospital over a period of 4 to 5 years, and then slowly getting rid of those operations in the hospital. Then we will be going back to the old hospital and renovating it so that it can be used primarily for administrative. She's passing out a new set of drawings. We made one change. We moved the emergency room and to do some upgrades. We intend to highlight the fact that we want to go to full-blown telemed here in Eureka Springs so that we have access to medical expertise outside of the area at all times. So part of our development will be to have a full-blown telemed operation within the hospital. So that if you go in...
A full what?
Telemedicine. So let's say you come in with a very severe break of some kind. We will be able to access doctors that are familiar with that type of break and help us diagnose and determine what we need to do with the patient at that point in time.
So do you intend to have a full-time medical doctor on
Absolutely.
the hospital?
We don't intend. Actually, we'll have more than we have now because we've got some vacancies, but we'll still have a full-blown hospital of emergency room doctors. However, their specialty sometimes doesn't fit the things that we're treating. So we want the ability to telemed other doctors in to assist those doctors in coming to the right diagnosis.
Okay, now the house across the street that you currently use to give vaccinations, why not sell that house and renovate the Purple House and keep everything on the same campus? Has that been considered?
To sell that house and use that space?
To use the Purple House, to keep the Purple House on the same campus as the present hospital is located.
The problem we have is the Purple House is dead set in the track that we need to expand the hospital to the north and west.
It's set in traffic.
Huh? It's not, no, I didn't say, I'm sorry. It's dead set in the center of where we need to in fact, start the new additions of the hospital. So there's no way we could go with the design and do what we want to do by keeping that house in that location.
But there's nothing inherently wrong with the house. It's just because you've decided that's what you want to do.
No, I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with the house. We think for the health and welfare of the residents of Eureka Springs.
That's ridiculous.
Okay.
That's an egregious comment.
Anybody else have any comments? Peter?
So I had some questions. I do agree in the expansion of the hospital, and I think it's a great thing that we're going to be doing for the community. I was just curious, the residents that live in the historic district, are they going to have the ability to have access to the materials that do come off of this house if that's the decision you go forward with? Like, how are you guys going to decide that this material that's, historic, built in the 1907, 1910 area, are we going to have access to be able to potentially, are they going to be donated, or are they going to be sold? Who's going to have access to the material that comes off of this house?
That is the intent, to deconstruct and make it available to the residents of Eureka Springs to use in their houses.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question.
But there's,
You had mentioned that, I could be wrong, that's why I'm asking the question. Have you ever considered auctioning the house to be moved? Can that be done? Like, say, they move the big queen homes and things, maybe there might be somebody that would be willing to move the house? Can it be? I think that would be a good option. I'm not saying it, I'm just, has that been an option for you?
It hasn't been an option, but I don't speak for the rest of the hospital commission, but I don't believe that would be a problem.
Okay.
We would, we are somewhat moving rapidly, because I will tell you, we are working with Washington, D.C. on funding, and
Okay.
it looks like we're going to have a lot of funding available to us.
Good.
But I think what we could do is, if we have that as one of the alternatives, I think we could move forward with trying to make that happen sooner as opposed to later. And
I
see
would
if-
suggest that.
See if anybody is willing to, I mean, that's a pretty expensive proposition, especially there, because it's below grade, and it would be very difficult to get it out of there. But I certainly have no objections to that. I certainly will bring it up at our next hospital commission meeting, and I don't think they'll have any objections with it.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing,
Yeah.
Kent, just to
That's
see
a
if there's
good
any interest. But I think your other idea of letting people here in
Right.
town buy it too, yeah, I think either one. I think I would try to auction first, and then if that doesn't work, then go to the next.
We actually agree with you. We don't like the fact that we have to take it down. We just don't see another alternative.
But there's so many people wanting houses, you're real estate. So maybe somebody would.
It is worth a shot.
Putting it in the paper or something, or
It
let
is, it is,
people...
it is
yeah.
worth a shot. And
I've
I
seen
like the
situations
idea
where
of an auction.
They didn't sell it, they just, if you come get it, you,
Yeah, you don't even
Yeah.
have to sell it. Just
You just come get
First
it
come,
if
first
that's
served.
all the
it's just going to cost the hospital money to tear it down.
Yeah, it's going to
It will-
cost you guys.
It'll cost the hospital more to deconstruct it
Right.
than we would
Yeah.
ever get from it.
So maybe you just
give it.
give it to somebody if they'll come haul it off, because that's not going to be cheap.
That happens quite a bit.
If that's one of the courses we take, let's just make sure we set the parameters, because somebody
Yes.
might want to haul it off and move it to somewhere else. If you want it to stay in Eureka Springs, then we'd have to set that parameter up front.
Oh, good point. Excellent point. Do
I'd
we
rather-
want it to stay in Eureka Springs, or does it matter to us as long as it's being kept?
I think as long as it's being kept and saved, I'm
Yeah.
happy.
If it goes out to some farmers, I mean, it's not costing you anything, and it's not being torn down, and if somebody's willing to save it, hallelujah. you
Yeah.
know?
And I will tell you, we will have to move on that very fast, because
Okay.
I can't go back to Washington with this setting here as a stumbling block to get the funding that we need in order to build a
Right,
hospital
but
addition.
maybe we should have done this in July or June.
but you don't
We were working on it, but we were still struggling. We knew that you all would have a difficult time with this, and appreciate the fact that you have a difficult time with this. We didn't come to this decision lightly, I will tell you that.
Well, let's just get the word out that,
All right, Marty? you have a comment?
But you don't expect to start construction for another, this is a 5-year plan, so you don't have to do anything imminently.
We don't expect to start construction until sometime in 23,
Until,
2023.
okay, so
Good, we've got that.
there's no great rush to tear this lovely old house down.
well, they're trying to get money from
They can do
the
that.
federal government, right?
That's correct.
That's not an impediment. You just have to use a little imagination.
Peter has a,
No, I just wanted to reiterate, I just really do appreciate that we're doing an expansion of the hospital, and I do support that. I think we should give the option to, I don't know if we can make a conclusion to Eureka Springs residents first, but just knowing that being a handyman and work in the area, I just know the cost of this traditional old hardwood is hard to come by, especially when you live up in the mountains here and you got to go try to find it on the Front Range or down in Rogers and such. So I just think that that would be a great option to give local residents who are struggling to find the material to renovate and restore their siding, like the wood siding on this
Yes.
house looks in perfect, immaculate condition, so just want to know if that'd be an option.
Anybody else in the audience have any questions, comments they want to say? I have one email I'd like to read out. To whom it may concern, my husband and I hate the thought of demolition of a historic contributing property, but we realize the importance of our hospital and its needs to expand. We approve the application to demolish the Purple House. Thank you, Joe and Melissa Green.
I have a question of Kyle and Peter, since you both work more in construction. Is the use of all of this, if they tear it down, more important to us in town? Because you just said, or should we try to get it moved? I mean, I was first for move, but then you said this is good stuff that people need in town to repair their old homes. Which
Yeah,
is
good
the
question.
most
First would be
important?
to Kylie. If someone took this house and moved it in its entirety, would it be still contributing if it's moved to a different location?
Likely not, because the association of setting and location are two parts of the historic integrity. So when you remove a building, especially a building that is only significant in its context, it loses that significance. So it would likely not be contributing.
And then I meant like, if there's an opportunity where there's two people, let's say there's one from a whole different state that's interested in purchasing it or taking the materials to a different state versus someone who lives in Eureka Spring, like, I just hope it doesn't come down to like a financial battle where the person in Eureka Springs who really needs that material can make one of our properties in the historic district look cosmetically better, rather than someone just taking it and doing the quick answers just to get it out of here to make space. Because I think we do, as a community, have ability to work together to keep this stuff in our community, because that wood was still brought here to Eureka Springs for Eureka Springs. And I think it would depend on the foundation, whether or not it can be moved. I haven't been in the building. You'd have to look at the structure integrity of the building. So I can't give a answer saying, hey, we can just pick up and move the structure, but by saying, hey, look, let's give a week where if any contractors, any builders want to come in and say, like, is this siding or is this hardwood floor, like, that would be my
Except
suggestion.
there have been other structures that have been demolished where the person knocking it down who said they were going to reuse stones, they were going to reuse windows, they were going to reuse glass, and they never did. So all of those historic artifacts were lost.
Unfortunately, that comes down to the integrity of the
I know.
individual that makes that commitment. But for us, that's not our job. Our job is to try to keep the historic district,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
but giving people the option, you know, because I know there's a lot of great people in our community that will use this stuff if they have the opportunity of going to get it. So,
And I think we have some control over that, we being the hospital commission, by how we write the contract. If we write the contract that it's to be deconstructed, and the windows are to be salvaged, and the doors are to be salvaged, and the wood on the side is to be salvaged, we have some teeth as that process takes place. And it's right there. We'll be watching it the entire time anything happens, so.
Steve?
But you lose control the moment you sell those materials.
We wouldn't sell those materials until it was deconstructed. That's what I'm saying. We would make sure that those materials were taken apart first.
Okay. We have someone behind you, Ken, wants to make a comment.
Thanks. Hi.
Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Pat Matsukas, 5 Mountain Street. I understand deconstruction. I would also really move to see if we could move the house in its entirety, which means to me that someone that knows more about building than any of us does should look at that building and decide whether it can be moved or should be moved. That would start the question, you know, is it viable to move? If it's viable to move and we can use it somewhere, even on Parks property. We have lots of places that need things. We have a Parks property, we have Leatherwood, we've got the universe. And, you know, if we can, it's a lot of work. We all know it. But I want to encourage us to do the best we can with what we have. So in this case, I would say it might behoove you to have the building inspector and the fire inspector go look, or somebody that knows this stuff, Vito Sawtell, that does home inspections. I mean, somebody that can tell you, can it be moved? Could it be moved out to parks? Could it be an extra building somewhere on our own city properties? And then if it can't, at the end of the day, in 60 days, if you decide it can't be whatever, then deconstruct it and do whatever and offer it to the city properties first, starting with parks, starting with our own in-house needs, before we offer it out to the community, because the city has its own needs too. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments, questions? So the motion as it stands is,
Well, we need to adapt the motion.
okay.
So remove your second, Judy.
I remove my second on the motion.
And I'll remove my motion. Let me think how we're going to say this, because I did like Pat's comments too about using it. Since the city owns it, use it if we need it.
The city owns it or the hospital owns it?
Well, the city owns the hospital.
I thought it was leased to someone.
It's owned by the city.
It's owned by the
It's owned by
city.
the city, yes.
Okay.
So would we
And
state it as
gonna
first
say-
option to move, second option to
You got
demolition
your
with
head
materials
around how we
available?
want to, you want to make the motion?
I really do like that.
Do you want to make the motion?
You make the
Sure,
motion.
yeah, I'll make the
Okay.
motion that we're going to, how do I put this?
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
So make the motion to,
Recommend to the city that the building inspector and city officials look at the building and decide if it's worth moving.
So my recommendation is to,
To table the demolition.
yeah, to reject the application for demolition. There's obviously other options to consider, and then come back with a new
Yeah,
proposal.
yeah, that makes sense.
with the proposal being demolition second
Well,
after building
they've
inspector
been-
comes in first.
I'll make a
Just
motion.
reject it.
I'll make a motion that we reject the demolition
At 28.
at 28 Lima as it was proposed.
Feel free.
So somebody,
Second that.
That makes sense.
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed, say no.
So now we need a new motion.
Demolition has been denied.
Yes.
So do we need to make a new motion now, Kylie, on everything we said, or can Kent
Or
just,
do we wait till they come back?
Kent
Clear
can just come
information.
back
Yeah.
with,
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say that the commission will actually evaluate whether, have somebody come in and evaluate whether or not it can be moved and report back to the HDC when we have that answer.
Is that
Thank
gonna-
you, Ken.
Is that going to work with your timeline, Ken?
We'll make it work.
Okay,
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
appreciate it. Consent agenda, level 1 and 2, projects that the city preservation officer believes to be in accordance with the design guidelines. Any commissioner or member of the public may move any consent agenda items to the regular agenda for discussion. Level 1, 2, BAT, non-contributing installed driveways.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was presented to us.
Second.
Dee made the motion, Kyle seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Administrative approvals by the City Historic Preservation Officer, minor impact projects including ordinary maintenance that does not involve a change in materials, new and replacement signs, alterations to non-contributing and/or non-historic structures, excluding major additions or demolition, medium impact projects that meet design guidelines. And that's listed on the website, all these 1 through 5. And commission business, number 1, approval of minutes from August 3rd, regular meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from August 3rd, 2022.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. July's treasurer report, it's not going to be Maggie, it's going to be Judy.
Present balance in our account is $8,882.21.
I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
Dee made the motion, Kyle seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Number 3 was taken off the agenda. Number 4, next meeting, September 21st, 2022. Level 3 applications due Thursday, September 8th. Level 2 applications due Wednesday, September 14th. Agenda setting for September 21st, 2022. Anybody have anything they want to sign the agenda now or let Kylie know later? Anybody?
Won't be present.
Peter will not be
I
present.
won't be present.
I won't be present.
You won't?
I will not.
And Dee will not be present. So Kylie wants to make sure everybody else is here so we have a quorum.
No playing hooky.
No playing hooky. All right, public comments.
Yes.
Anybody?
Oh, Marty's signed up first.
Public comment?
Marty signed up.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have public comments, Marty? You want to do your commissioner?
Yeah, my comment is regarding the $1,000 fine
Can't hear you.
and allowing one of the homeowners to keep his non-approved, non-conforming porch. I think that sets a precedent that denigrates any kind of work that the HDC does. It takes away the power of the HDC to address what people do or did not do to their historic properties. The consensus seems to be you just pay a fine and do what you damn well please. And I think that is absolutely wrong. Either we have a city inspector or somebody who takes responsibility for the decisions that are made by the HDC. And I just wonder how the attorney got involved in this, because he doesn't know a thing about the history of it. And there was an article in the Arkansas Times that was full of incorrect information. So I think something has to be done with that. I think that was a very poor decision on whoever made that decision.
Okay,
That's all I have to say about it.
thank you, ma'am.
If anybody else feels the same way, say something.
Right now, we're going to listen to
Because
Ms.
what's the point of the HDC if everything we do is disregarded?
Right. Ms. Mizuka?
Thank you. It's Matt Sukas.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. The kids in town call me Pack My Suitcase because it's easier than Pat Matsukas. I sort of want to follow up on two things here, several things that have gone on. All of us lead extremely busy lives, so I thank you first of all for serving. After having said that we all lead busy lives and we serve, I want to go back to this decision of Pine Street because I was the one that filed the complaint about this. When I filed that complaint, I knew that Kylie was the new kid on the block and she was going to be bamboozled. She was bamboozled. Instead of the commission, which at the time I think I even encouraged you to void the whole application and start over because the application was a lie from what was done. But that didn't happen. So what happened was part of it got approved, part of it did not get approved of that project. So it goes into court or wherever it went, and somehow our city attorney decided with whose approval. I want to know how the city, did the commission agree with the city attorney? Did you have a meeting that said we accept $1,000 and the fact that he doesn't have to make these changes?
No.
Who?
We were not approached at all.
Okay, so then my question is, as a commission, I have sat on commissions, I know the toughness of this. So I would encourage you as a unit to write a letter to the mayor and the city council, because if you are not being respected, if you are not being heard, we got a problem. Because now what happened was Forrest, God love him, he's a friend of mine, I got no issue with Forrest as a human being, but he made a really bad decision based on who decided this. When that $1,000 fine was being offered, If that was being offered, it should have come back to the commission table for the commission to say, yes, we accept this money and we'll let him do what he wants, or we will accept this $1,000 fine, but he still has to make it right, or whatever the conditions were that you placed on there. If you're not being heard, then why should I ever come in front of this body again and ask permission for anything? And you've just opened Pandora's box. Once again, for those of us with longevity, and I think I sit here longer than any of you, I have seen the fiasco of Hillside. I have seen the fiasco of Becky Gillette's property. I have seen the fiasco of that thing on Spring Street with the pillars that nobody understands. I have seen the fiascos going on around town, and I say, as a commission, I want you to either stand up, walk out, hold your power, or let's just get rid of the HDC and let everybody do what they want, so we can all be not here and having to do this. I know you guys don't want to spend your time doing this. I certainly don't. My girlfriends are having drinks tonight. Here I am. And having said that, I want to empower you. If you're going to be an HDC, then you make the building inspector, you make your employee, because Kylie is your employee. She's not your boss. She is your employee. You direct her. She does not direct you. And if you can't figure out these boundaries, then something is wrong, and we either need to get rid of the HDC, get rid of these things so that we don't have to mess with it. Having said that, I also want to talk about this driveway thing on Elk Street. How in the world do we allow someone to have a parking spot in their front yard that crosses a sidewalk where people walk? Who approved that? Was that you guys?
No.
Who did that? I am stymied, because if somebody's putting a parking spot in their front yard, they should have come in front of you. I also take umbrage with the parks not coming back to you, because the parks are part of the city. We are all part of each other. Every time Parks does a project, they should be in front of you asking your permission. And for them to want to change that wall and put benches in there, have we seen a final drawing? Do we know what it looks like?
No.
They put a bridge in, an illegal bridge in at Leatherwood last year without ever coming in front of you. So there has to be a tightening up of our ability to communicate with each other in a better way, so that I don't have to come in here and be the bad guy.
Hold on.
You can't
Public
answer her.
comments are just public comments. We can't, it's not a discussion.
Can't answer her.
Okay, anyway, I want to thank you for your time. I thank you for serving, and again, these things are sad.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Appreciate it. Is that all public comments? Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner comments, let's start with Peter.
I was just going to say that I wasn't going to be here for the next meeting, which I already addressed.
Right.
I would like to address that I do like that they're making progress on the Douglas property. That is something I'm very happy to see over the last 4 or 5 days. They've been there with dumpsters removing that house, so I give them, respect for that. So that's good to be going on. So that'd probably be my only thing to say.
Okay. Judy?
I was very disappointed with the decision that was made by the lawyer, and I feel as a commission that we should do something about it. We should voice our concerns to council. I honestly
Yes.
am very disappointed that we were not approached or asked our opinion. Am I out of,
No, you have your
Thought.
comments now.
that's...
Yeah, we
but
just
am I-
can't, we can't.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, am I
Out of line.
misunderstanding something that they didn't approach us first? Why are we here if they didn't ask for our vote? Can anybody answer that for me? No?
No, this is your comments, so.
This is your time to
Okay.
speak, and then we move to the next person, so.
That's all I have to say.
Great. Thank you.
Well, I'll kind of comment on that, but then I had something happier. Back on the roundhouse and Becky Gillette property, we were not confronted on, city council made that. I do remember that. That's all I'm going to say about all of that. The Preservation Society, we are going to have tour of homes this year.
Wonderful.
We have It's December 3rd, 3 to 7. We're going to shorten it 1 hour. And we have 6 houses, maybe, I'm not sure. We definitely have 5. One of them, we're not sure if they're not going to decorate, we're going to drop it. But we are going to try this year. We've got 5. So that's my happy news.
Okay, is that it? You done?
I'm done.
Kyle?
Thank you for everybody's support for the Preserve Arkansas program last week. They usually have about 25 people show up to something like this, and they had 50, so that was exciting.
It was
So,
good. I was there.
yeah. Thank you for coming. Yeah, that was great. So, yeah, that's my comment.
Wonderful. Marty?
I'm going to readdress the wall on Crescent Springs. Those benches have nothing to do with the integrity of a stone wall, and they should not be approved. My understanding when they came before the commission was that this was a preliminary design. At that point, they didn't even know if they had the monies necessary to do any kind of repair, much less to put in 2 benches that overlap the sidewalk. So if somebody is so exhausted from his 1-mile walk that he needs a bench in addition to the benches and the tables that are already there, his legs are going to, sorry, my voice is really bad today. They're going to block the sidewalk. But as far as the rest of that goes, that is not within the purview of a historic stone wall. Once they put benches in there, we might as well put up, a picket fence there, because there is no historic integrity there. And when they say they're going to reuse the stones, I don't believe it. That's all. I think that is something that needs to be addressed, and addressed very carefully.
Okay,
May I ask a question?
sure.
How do we address our concerns? How can we, do we talk to you, or do we
About?
talk? For example, the fine that was paid.
Right.
How do we talk as a,
Actually, I was going to address that in my comments.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
I was at City Council when the $1,000 fine decision was decided on. I know why they did it. The city attorney called me a couple of times, asked me what I thought happened with the application, and then the proposed fine. I have real concerns that, in our opening statement, we say approval with modifications, denial, or deferral for more information. Appeal, denial may be made to the circuit court. Well, this person didn't go to the circuit court. They went straight to a lawyer and sued the city directly. So they went around the appeals process. And the fact that the city can say, yes, we'll give you a $1,000 fine or a $100,000 fine doesn't make any difference. The Historic District Commission never approved this property being the way it is. So he will not get a certificate of approval. I'm not sure if that really means anything or not. So, and that's the problem. So we need to go to our city council members and say, this is our concern. What's going on here? Is this setting the precedent where someone doesn't say, well, I don't want to go to circuit court. I'll just hire my lawyer and sue the city, and then they will settle, and then I can get what I want for $1,000. And I keep telling people $1,000 is a lot of money to me and other people. It may not be a lot of money to some other people in town. It would be a drop in the bucket, maybe very well worth their while to say, I want this done, I'll just pay the $1,000 fine, on top of everything else. So it then becomes people with money can do it, and people without money can't do it.
Correct.
Which I think is unfair. So I think the city council needs to address this issue. And what the city attorney told me, there wasn't enough teeth in the ordinance to make him tear the porch down. Therefore, they felt stuck, they would stay in court forever. And so that needs to be addressed, so there's teeth in there that they can make a person tear it off if they don't do it right. So, okay? And that's my comments. And one good news, There's a play starting tomorrow night at Melon Light Dance Company called Silence in the Jungle. And it's opening night tomorrow night. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and every weekend through September and October. I think it's going to be a great play. My husband's one of the actors in it, which will be great. So hope everybody has a chance to see it. I love the fact that we have this kind of talent in town that can put on a whole production. Emma wrote it, and it's a totally written and produced Eureka Springs production. So, all right. Do I hear movement for adjournment?
No,
I'm sorry.
Director.
Oh, I'm sorry, Director.
That's okay. I just wanted to echo Kyle's comment. Thanks for everybody and the community that came to the Dollars and Cents program. And I also want to congratulate Kyle because he did a really great presentation. He was a really great representative of his craft and the HDC. So, great job.
It was a
Thank
great
you.
presentation.
Thank
It
you.
was.
Only half of it worked.
So moved.
Do I hear
I
adjournment?
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You made a motion, Kyle seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We are adjourned.